Hello, my name is Pat Mosher. I'm here for the Hedberg Library Art Committee, and today I'm going to be talking with Pam Veitenheimer. Hello, Pam, and how are you?
Hi there, I'm good. How are you?
It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. I've seen your work so many times.
And I've seen
yours. I think you're just wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
I really
That's
do.
nice. But we have to talk about your work today. I read your biography, and it seems that you started very young, and your dad gave you these contour drawing lessons.
Oh, yes. My dad was very interested in art. He was George Kruger, worked for the city for years and years and years. He was city clerk treasurer. My mom had an interest in art, but didn't take up painting until she was retired. She took up watercolor, had a lot of fun with that. And my dad, from the time that I was little, I would start sketching. He would help me with the shadows and the contours, doing lamps and bookcases and just about anything at all that we could find in the house. And he would point out the light coming this way and that way and everything. And he was my best critic. And I miss that so much about not having him here.
And so you inherited it from both sides of your family, really.
I think so, yes.
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 And then you loved your art classes in grade school.
Oh, absolutely.
And every grade after that, I'll bet.
Yes.
Yes, so did I. Now, you tried Layton Art School.
Yes, I did. My grandma and grandpa sent me to night school there for a semester. And it was so beyond me. It was really, really dramatic. I was used to the sheds and barns, and they were just so into the bright blues and the greens and the yellows that I felt so out of place there.
Was it more of
More
abstract? Right.
And they were so advanced that it wasn't me yet. Now I would enjoy it.
Yes.
But at that time, I was still so young and everything, and just starting out. But it was lots of fun.
Well, you had the experience, and that gave you a sense of where you wanted to go.
Right.
So you didn't like the big city, you said.
Right. Right. I moved back to Janesville after about 5 years in Milwaukee, and started working at Gilman Engineering. Enjoyed my career there for 35 years.
So what did you do there?
I was a secretary. And in my spare time, I would paint, and I took a lot of classes from Wayne Gunnis.
Yes,
and he had the
very
Gunnis
well
Art
known.
Center up here.
Yes.
And I just adored the man. I thought he was just great.
I wish I had known him.
I wish you had too. He was really something else. He made watercolor look just so easy.
And
he would
it's
get
not.
up there in a demonstration, and within 30, 40 minutes, he would have a painting done and looking beautiful, and we'd all be sitting there like, oh, yeah, right.
Your watercolor isn't really that easy.
No,
unless you're very, very skilled.
Right, right.
Yes, it takes a while to learn it, doesn't it?
It sure does. And I tried for a long, long time. Then I decided to try acrylics. Watercolor is so unforgiving. And acrylics, if you make a mistake, you can paint over it, which of course is always really nice. So I got into acrylics, and I took some classes from Carla Day Johnson.
Oh, yes.
And I'm trying to think of the other people I've taken classes under. I went to the Peninsula Art School in Door County. I spent a week up there doing classes, and that was just wonderful. And just keep on painting.
Yes, I had wished that I had gone to Door County more than once. I went up there for a few times just to look around. But it's an exciting place for an artist.
Yes,
Very
it is.
exciting.
I understand that Connie Kowalski has a studio up there.
Oh, is that right?
All the time. And of course, I admire her work so much. She's just really great.
Yes, we have many good artists in Janesville, and you're one of them.
Oh, thank you.
I have seen your work down at Ravenswick.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
It's lots of fun.
Yes, it is. And you found a love of clay and sculptural materials when you were up in Door County.
Yes, and it was one of the things that kind of set me on my path to find something I really enjoyed. Being a secretary for so long, I was really tired of sitting, because all day I would sit there at the typewriter and the computer, and this way, with my current stuff, I'm not sitting there for hours. You lay down the joint compound.
Now you lay down, when you say lay it down, you lay it down on a board, on a piece of wood.
Yes.
Okay.
I go to Goodwill, I go to carousel consignments. My husband loves picking up trash. So he finds boards, and what I do is I refurbish them.
By that you mean, what do you do to them?
I lay down the gesso to start out, to give it a little tooth, and then the joint compound.
Okay, and a joint compound is clay-like?
It's the mud that you use on walls.
Oh, okay.
When you use in the corners and for the plastering.
Okay.
I actually saw this on the internet. And a gentleman called Frank Bozo, he was an art teacher for a long, long time in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And he's the one that got me interested in this. I was looking for something different to do. I saw his videos on YouTube, and I thought, that looks like fun. I never knew if I would really be able to make it in clay. That takes so long to learn how to do pots and everything, so I thought this looked doable. And I decided to try doing that, and I've had a lot of fun with it.
Now, when you lay down the layer of joint compound, how thick is it?
About 1/8 of an inch.
Oh, it isn't very thick at all.
To 1/4 of an inch.
Oh.
Sometimes I like my designs really dramatic. Other times I want them more into the background. It just kind of depends on my mood.
Does any time that some of it is higher than other parts?
Yes.
Oh,
in fact, I really like that when you lay it down to make it uneven, it gives it more interest than if it's perfectly flat.
I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah, so it's fun.
So then what happens? How long do you have to let this dry?
What I do is immediately I start with my designing.
Oh.
Everything that you press in has to be wet. So I've got a bucket of water over here, and I've got things that I have found. I use a lot of doilies.
Really?
Crocheted kinds.
Yes.
I use...
and you get them wet first, and then press them in?
Get them very wet, and then press them into the plaster, the joint compound. And just pat them down a little bit and take it out. And you've got your design. I use bottle caps. I use a potato masher, an old-time potato masher, an old juicer. I use a lot of stamps.
The little stamps that people use for...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I use some of those.
That's a good thing to use.
Combs.
And that way you can make the waves? Oh,
Yeah.
and you said your husband finds things for you?
My latest favorite are some armatures that he found out in the garage. He was taking something apart, and he found some armatures, which I don't know what armatures are, but...
I don't know either. I was going to ask you.
I'll show you. And a strainer to a faucet that was broken. He finds all sorts of things for me to try, and if they work out, great, and if they don't, you know, it's not a big deal.
And you mentioned the circle of life as being very important to you.
Yes.
And I noticed that there were a lot of circles in your work.
I was actually thinking about that, and I know you're going to think I'm silly, but that's okay. When I was a young girl, my favorite cartoon was Dot.
Oh.
Remember the little girl that everything was polka dots?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember that cartoon. I was thinking about that, and I thought, I wonder if that's what piqued my interest with circles and the whole circle of life thing.
Yeah.
So no.
Well, why don't we look at one of your works? Oh, but no, this is not one of your ones with the joint compound.
No, no, no. My favorite subject in the whole world to do are animals, and old shacks, buildings, barns.
Oh, I love him. I love cats.
And my favorite thing in the whole world are big cats. That's why I decided to bring this one. This is a
beautiful
photograph that Franz Lanting did.
Mm.
He's supposedly a very famous photographer. And I got one of his calendars in 1997. And I let it sit there for the longest time until I got up the courage to do it a couple years back here. And this is the only print that I have of any of my artwork. And that's why I brought this one. It's one that I just love. And if this is going to go down in history, then I want it shown.
Yes. And the cat has such a
It's
look
actually
on
a
his
jaguar.
face, a look on his face like cats have when they're not sure of exactly what's going to happen.
I had a lot of fun doing this one.
Yes, I can believe that.
I really did.
It's a nice arrangement of shapes too.
It was lots and lots of fun. I didn't know if I could pull it off, and I was happy with the results, so I'm good to go.
Well, you should be.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I've got prints of this. This is the original, and of course I want to keep this, but I do have prints I'm going to be showing. This is, as you can see, I go around and I find old boards that are recycled. I go to Goodwill, wherever I can. My friends are always on the lookout. Everybody's on the lookout for me. This probably had something on it, peace, hope, love, or picture of a little girl, or, you know, the type of plaque that I'm talking about. And I just put down my compound and then press, these are stamps.
Okay.
And press them into the wet compound.
Okay, and they're all stamps?
This is an old juicer. These are bottle covers.
Okay. And this is what?
That's an old juicer.
Oh, that's the old juicer. Oh.
That you would use for lemons or limes.
No, it didn't have the stars in it, did it?
No. The stars I put in
Okay.
with a stamp and the little nicks in there just to add interest.
The colors, then you put on after it's dried real well.
After it's dried, I put in 2 layers of Liquitex sealer.
Oh, okay.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry, I should back up. I sand it down
Oh.
to take off the rough spots. And then I put on 2 layers of the Liquitex sealer, and then my yellows. Yellow and...
The lighter shades.
I put that over the whole thing and wipe off what I don't want.
Okay.
Which basically, the yellow, I pretty much leave on all of it, except for a little bit here. You can see where it kind of is a little bit white. And then seal it.
Oh, then you seal it again with the Liquitex?
It's kind of like the, it's kind of like the 4-color process for photographs.
Oh.
The next is the reds and oranges. Then I put them on. I put them on with my hand and rub it in.
Oh, you don't use a brush or?
No.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
my hands get pretty, pretty colorful. Rub those on and then wipe off what I don't want.
Okay.
And then seal it up again. And then you go to your blues and greens and wipe it on and wipe it off.
Now, does when you put the greens on here, does any of that ever come over to here? I think it does a little bit.
Yes.
And then you wipe off again what you don't want. And then in between, it's always Liquitex.
I go through a lot of paper towels.
Oh.
And then my final is burnt umber and dark blue for the very dark areas.
And then you fill those in how?
Just by doing the paint.
Oh,
and then wiping
I
off
see.
because it's raised.
Oh, because it
sinks in.
Because it's all covered with Liquitex anyway, so you can put the dark on and then wipe it right off.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. Oh, it's
And
lots
how
of fun.
did you think of that?
I didn't. I saw the video from Frank Bozo, and he's on the internet, and it's Bozo Art. It's
Bozo
B-O-Z-Z-O-A-R-T. and I have emailed him. He seems like a really nice gentleman. He's got it out there for anybody to try, and just wants you to have fun with it.
Yes, it would be.
It is. It is. It's lots of fun. And this way I'm up and around moving from one to one. I'll have like 7 or 8 going at a time.
Oh.
So that I'll do my layer of yellow on one, move to the next one, and down the line.
And you can
and go upstairs
plan
and cook
many?
dinner or whatever. And
You can plan that many at a time?
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, how do you do that?
I don't really do a whole lot of planning.
Oh.
I try to remember the rule of the 9s.
Yes.
You know, the 3s and 3s. I try to remember that, and I try to remember never to center anything for the most part. I put on music from the 70s or the 50s, 60s. I also like that. I like the 40s. I put on some loud music and I get into my zone and I just
That
go.
sounds great.
It is fun.
I see your circles in this, your circle of life, and there are many other shapes, like in the corner it almost looks like a foreign language.
This actually is a stamp. It's some sort of symbols that I found really interesting. This is a doily. If you look closely, you can see how it's pressed in.
Yeah.
And that's a doily. This is one of the tools that my husband found. I don't even remember what he called it, but it had the little edges here, so I pressed that in. That's the same thing. This
I like
up
the way it's
here
disappearing.
is, I try to remember that to have something going off because I like that effect. That is, you know, the plastic plant holders that you have to catch the water? That is one of those. It's the bottom of one of those.
Okay.
So I just go around hardware stores, find whatever I can that I think might work.
And then
put
the
it in
the little scene down there with the dog in the woods. That really adds something.
This is called I think it's called Blue Dog and the Blue Moon, or Once in a Blue Moon. Don't remember what
Once in a blue moon. That's a saying.
Yes. So
Yes.
so I had fun with this one, and
There's a little frog or something down there too.
Yep, that's a stamp, and these are markers. The back end of a marker, so they add a little interest in there, and it's just.
And it's amazing that so many of the circles, and it's still very interesting, even though there are so many circles. You would think, well,
Thank you.
it's not boring. And this lacy part here, is that part of a doily?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
That's one whole doily right there. And of course, like I said, I seal it up and then do my yellows
Yeah.
and wipe away. Then my reds and oranges, wipe away what I don't want. And my
And then
blues and greens.
The cooler colors come last.
Yes.
And that way the lighter, the glowing colors kind of come through, don't they?
Right.
And if you want to cover them up more, you can.
Right. You just have to paint over them. Another layer, it's all acrylic paint. Did I mention that? It's all acrylic. So the other nice thing is if they get dirty, just wipe them off with a wet rag.
Yeah.
Because they are all sealed and nothing's
Very-
going to happen to them.
Yeah, much more, what's the word I want? Much more safe, much more
Durable.
durable, right, than a painting that you have to be careful of
Right.
all of its life.
Right. Right. So
Yes, it
it's,
is.
It's lots of fun.
Oh, and I think that one is just beautiful.
Oh, thank
I
you.
really like
You're so kind. Is a shelf that my husband found.
Oh,
I believe he found it in the garbage. And we thought, well, you know what? We'll make something out of it. This is armature. And it's this big steel thing that I just lay on there and makes a design. And then I did this other tool that he found inside of there.
And this looks like it has a little bit different meaning. It has the I believe circle, and then it has the arch.
Yeah, that's a Eiffel Tower.
Yes. The Eiffel Tower, that's right. And the sun, right next to it, it looks like the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a special, different meaning to this one?
Well, I'd like to get back to Paris someday.
Oh, were you in Paris?
Yes, I was.
Oh.
He was. My husband was working on a machine for Gilman Engineering, an installation in Spain. And I met him in Paris on his way back. So we got to spend a week in Paris, and it was just so much fun.
Oh.
Got to go to the Louvre and see,
That would be wonderful.
what's her name?
Mona Lisa?
Thank you. Yes, Mona Lisa. And, you know, I've heard people say this, but it was so much smaller than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this big painting.
Because
and
it's
it's
so
actually small, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a great adventure. That was lots of fun.
Oh, I'll bet it was. And you
So-
have recorded your joy,
Yeah.
I think.
Thank
you have.
you. Yes, it's lots of fun. This is one of my favorite doilies here. I can put the red in the background rather than the dark, and then seal it up for something different. Just like over here, I like a lot of red. And
that pulls it all together when you have the red here and the red there, and it really does.
yeah, so there's just lots of fun to do.
Yes.
Something a little different.
And do these down here say anything, or that's just an alphabet?
It's just an alphabet.
Okay.
It's just a stamp.
Uh-huh.
What I like too is when you lay down your joint compound, if you don't do it evenly, you get marks like in there.
Okay.
That personally I like.
I
It
do
adds
too.
a little
Yes.
dimension to it,
Yes.
so it makes it a little bit different than your normal flat painting. And I enjoy that because I don't know how to be a potter.
Well,
But
I will
this is
certainly.
the next best thing.
I'll certainly look forward to seeing your show,
Oh, thank
because
you.
I have seen some of them.
Thank
down,
you.
And this is one I saw at Ravenswish, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is exciting.
And I wanted to hear about it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, thank
It's
you
lots
so
of
much
fun.
for coming and talking about your art and telling us about it, because I feel like I've learned something, you know.
Oh, thank you. I always learn something from watching your program.
Well, I appreciate that too. So be sure and come to the library during March when Pam will have her work here. And I assure you it's very exciting. So thank you for watching.